I sort of feel like if we go over them, then maybe you guys can try this pitch again. All right, so a couple things. First of all, the Excel lab, one, let's go over that briefly. So you guys already opened this, we've done that one. So Excel lab 1 is here on Canvas. If you go to, here's our Canvas site, right? So go to the Excel labs with videos. They're all there. Right? I'm going to make it due on the 7th, but you can always turn it in late for full credit next week, by next Thursday. Okay? But ideally, you should have it done on Thursday, but you know you got an exam, so I understand if you get it done after that. But within a week. Okay? All right, so here they are. These are the descriptions. You should download that and look at it. You don't have to print it out. But here's a video where I go through everything. I go through all the pieces with you. So that explains kind of everything you need to know about doing it. Maybe I should make this bigger, because I feel like it's too small. Is that any better? A little bit better. Not a lot better. There's another video that has like about the charts and some other tips. So these are both videos that I've done that kind of just help you. Basically, they walk you all the way through it. So if you watch the video and download the instructions, you should be in good shape. What if you don't have Excel? You can either use one of the computers on campus, because all of them have Excel, and then you can just, from there, you can just take that file and you can email it to me, right? Because we're not, the one thing that's different from last semester or from previous times to now is we're not taking paper copies anymore. So now you can just upload the file itself, the Excel file itself, and then I just look through that. Good, so no printing. So you can ignore all the printing. It says print like this, do all these different things, like do this margin and all this other stuff. You can skip all that printing part. I do still want you to have, do one thing where you show your formulas, another page where you don't. I still want that, all the different pages, so I can look through it faster. But you don't have to worry about printing it. Okay. The other thing is if you don't have Excel, you can instead, if you look at this part here, you go to the how-to for Excel, down at the very bottom, how to download it for free. So you can turn off, you can download Office 365 for free with your LPC Zone Mail account. There's also a video on how to turn off Team, because it'll download Team as well, which you still have a lot of memory, so you might want to download that. But if you turn that off, watch the video on how to turn that off. If you click on this here, it brings you to a lots of page that talks about this. And here's instructions on how to register for Office 365. Pretty good. So here's the first step. Register your email. Ooh, make it bigger. All right, register your email. So you need to use your Zone Mail email, right? Your LPC Zone Mail email. Register it, and then say that you're a student, right? And then it'll send you a verification link in your email. So just say that that's me, and then create you put in your name, your last name, and create a password. And then you can install it. So here's the thing: when you click on this part here, it will bring you to, it'll have you log in, and I think it brings you to this page here. I'll make it bigger. Brings you to this page here. And what people do is they say, oh, there's Excel on the right-hand side, on the left-hand side. Do you guys all see this Excel thing on the left-hand side? So all of you see the Excel there, and they're like, oh, I'll just go there and do it all there. If you click on that, yes, you're doing Excel, but it's not the same thing as downloading it on your computer. You click on this, then you're doing Excel. You're doing Excel, but you're doing it on the web. So if you look at this, you'll notice at the top, I have all those little tabs that you have when you're on a web browser, right? You still have all those tabs. So you have not downloaded it. What you're doing is you're using it in the web. So you're not going to have the full, all the little things. There's like 3 or 4 things that you need in like labs 4 and 5 that you won't have. And you also won't have it to use, you know, offline. You won't have Word, Microsoft Word and stuff like that to use when you're not on the web. So I would not recommend that. I would instead suggest don't do that. Instead when you're here, see this little orange thing here on the it's white with orange writing, but when you go on, it's orange on the right. And it actually looks smaller when you log in. It looks a little bit smaller. It's not as obvious, but you want to click on that, and then if you click on it, it'll download a file and you install that. Like you installing any app on your computer. So do that instead. Click on that, install Office, and then download the file, install it, and then you'll have it, you know, for at least a couple years. If you're still a student, then you can re-up it. It'll just ask you to re-verify that your email. As long as you have an LPC Zone email, then you can still keep revalidating it. I think they only ask every couple years or so. Yeah. Okay. Good deal. Also, there is, so all of my emails are using Office 2010 because that's what I had on my computer when I did the videos. So if you want to do things with Office 365, like this is how to download the data analysis pack in Office 365. It's a little bit different. How to add titles, y-axis and x-axis is a little bit different in Office 365. So I did a little video on that, or I found a video on that where they gave it to you. And then if you're using Google Sheets, you're allowed to use Google Sheets, but it's kind of on you to figure out how to do most of the stuff. Most of it's the same, but the data pack is kind of non-intuitive, so there's a video to help you guys with that part if you want to do it in there instead. Okay, any questions about the Excel lab? Super quiet, guys. Okay, sounds good. We'll move on. All right. Be resilient. That's the thing I'll talk to you guys about. Exam 1 material. Who feels very confident about the exam? You good? Who feels medium confident about the exam? And who feels like, I'm not feeling so good about this situation? Okay, so here's the deal. Even if you don't do well on this first exam, it's not like most math classes where it all builds on each other. Exam 1 to exam 2 don't build much at all. There's very little that goes from exam 1 to exam 2. Now from exam 2 to exam 3 there's a lot. But from exam 1 to exam 2, not so much. So even if you don't do well on this exam, you can still do very well on exam 2. So if you look at the grades that people get in exams 1 and 2, they're not as strongly correlated as they would be in another math class. It also means that if you do really well on exam 1, don't sit back on your laurels because exam 2 is totally different stuff, right? So just bear that in mind. If you don't do well, that's okay. Just come ready to focus. Your life is not over in this class. You can still pull it together and do quite well on the rest of it. That's kind of what I'm saying. Because it's not like you've messed yourself up completely by not doing well on the first one. We are going to do 4.4 today. Review it. Please note that on the exam, 4.5 is not going to be on the exam. So I'm actually not going to cover 4.5 today because I don't want you to see it before the exam because it'll just confuse people. When I did it before the exam, then people started mixing things up on the exam and doing weird things. So I was like, you know what? We'll cover it after the exam. That way you just have what you know and we can cover that part. So then we'll review for the exam today. Hopefully a little bit we'll get to that. Tomorrow you have Connect Math 4.4 due. I also have moved all the quizzes because some people forgot to do the quizzes, and there is no late option on the quizzes. Either you miss it, if you miss it, it's done. So I've given you guys a grace period this time, this exam, since just to give you fair warning, So it is due on Wednesday. They're all due on Wednesday. So if you missed them before, this time you can make them up, just get them done by Wednesday. Good? All right. And after that, there's no chance. You can't do them again. So you'll lose those points. Okay. Good. Excel Lab. Okay, so Excel Lab is technically due tomorrow, but again, you can turn in for full credit by next Thursday. There's no class tomorrow. However, I will do a review session for probably an hour and a half, 2 hours. I'll do one at 2, 5, and at 7:30. Okay. It's the same room. It's all right here. Incidentally, again, if you want to come to class at one of the other times, then if it's an occasional situation, then that's totally fine, right? It's like you have a doctor's appointment, or you have a big dinner you have to go to, or whatever. At 5 o'clock, you can come at 2. You can come to the 2 o'clock class that session that day if you want. They cover the same thing. Yeah.
How long is the review?
The review is probably going to be 90 minutes to 2 hours. And then after that, I'll just be around to answer questions if you want. If you have any questions. Questions? All right. So exam 1 is in class Thursday. Covers chapters 1, 2, and 4. And again, like I said, not 4.5. The study guide is the best way to prepare for it. But I also can give you some practice exam problems, because those are also useful. Practice exam I'll go over tomorrow in the practice session. Bring a pencil. You also need to have, you can bring 1/2 page, one-sided of handwritten notes, handwritten by you. Right? No Xeroxing stuff, none of that. You need to actually write it all out. That way you're learning it by writing it. You can have a basic calculator. I will bring some basic calculators. But if you have a fancy calculator, like a TI 8384, you still have to write out. I need to know your work. You need to say what times what divided by what. I need to show your work. Right? So if it's 6p3, you have to say, you can't just put 6 3p equals the answer. It's got to be, you got to say this times that times that times that divided by this time, whatever it is. Okay. All right. And then also don't forget to bring your binder in order in 2 sections if you want. So 1 section for your quizzes in order. I don't care which order, back to front, front to back, doesn't matter. And then something dividing it. You can use your syllabus, your colored syllabus if you like. And then your notes, front to back or back to front. I don't care. Yeah.
I was just wondering, like on the homework, for example, there's like really big numbers like 51 and then the exclamation point, whatever.
Oh.
Like for that, like are there going to be that many numbers like that, or are there just really smaller ones?
The biggest I would do, it might be 14 or 12 of something.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Okay. Good. And then obviously your cell phone should be off, or not off. They can be on, just silent, that sort of thing, and put away in your bag. So no cell phones like on your person. They should be put away. Okay. Great. Tutoring drop-in. So Andrea, what is up with this? Sorry, I'm obviously a new board and that. Okay, there you go. Oh, really? Okay. Andrea will be, she has drop-in hours on Wednesday from 1 to 5. Veronica has them on Tuesday from 2 to 6. 2 to, yeah.
And I also have them on Wednesdays now.
Oh, great.
In the tutoring center.
In the tutoring center, in person.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's from 2:15 to 5.
2:15, 2 to 5. Oh, well that's super useful. Okay, and then in person, in 24, so 2401 is that building all the way around the corner at the very end. That's Wednesday or Tuesday?
Wednesday.
Wednesdays, 1 to 5.
2.
2 to 5. 2 to 5. Okay. All right, good deal.
How you can drop in just 2 things in.
in person. So the in-person, no, what happened? Oh, I know. So the in-person is kind of easier, right? Because you just walk in and I think you sign in when you're there. So you all know your W number? You should know your W number. Because when you arrive there, they have you sign in with your W number and then use on the computer and then just go. If you do it online, then you can just go to, you don't have to download the Penji app, you can just go to the website on your computer. They'll have you create a Penji account and then you confirm your email. Once you do that, then go in and add Math 40 as one of your classes, and then you can click on that and you can see all the tutors that are available. Or you can also separately email any of our tutors to request an hour with them, and they can kind of walk you through all that. All right, so we'll go over this part. 4.4, the counting rules. Rachel, go and read for me.
The fundamental principle of counting the total number of possible outcomes of a series of decisions is found by multiplying the number of places for each decision.
Yep. So, in other words, it's like, remember that example I had you guys do with 2 pants, 3 shirts, 5 shoes, 4 socks, 10 possible wardrobe combinations. It's just like a tree, right? I even did a tree like with the 2 pants, right? The jeans and the slacks. And then off of each one of these, you had the shirts, right? And then off of those, so you had 3 sets. You had sets of 3. How many? You had 2 of them because you had 2 pants. So then now you have 6 different branches. And then off of there, you're going to have sets of 5 for each of the shoes. How many sets of 5 are you going to have? Well, 5 times 3 times 2, right? So this is just the basic counting rule. It applies to most things. So if you guys did not do quiz number 3, I'll give you guys some hints. So first of all, we have quiz number 3. Call letters must have 4 letters. Okay, so how many choices am I going to make?
4.
4. I'm choosing 4 letters. All right, this is just not, there we go. 4 letters. The first one has to be a K or a W. All right, so that goes down in here. And then the other ones, how many letters are there in the alphabet?
26.
26. But you cannot repeat letters. So whatever you use in the first one, whether it's a K or a W, whatever that is, you cannot reuse it for any of the other letters. So I'm going to give you guys 30 seconds to do number 3 if you have not done number 3. Or just raise your hand if you have done number 3. Okay, so I gave you guys 30 seconds to work on number 3. All right, so what I really like is someone was talking about randomly selecting. Here's the thing. We're not randomly selecting any of them. Random selecting comes with probability. This is not a probability problem. It is a how many. Do you guys see the how many part on the question? How many different station call letters are there? Basically, how many? Anytime you have a how many, it's going to be fundamental counting principle, right? Or a combination. So that means that you're going to have a number that's going to be like 247, right? Or 1,360,000, whatever. It's going to be a whole number. How many different ways? You can't have 3.7 ways of doing something. It's going to be a number, a whole number. If it's a probability, it's going to be what? Fraction or decimal less than 1. Does everyone understand that? And it's a decimal less than 1, you can change it to a percentage less than 100%. But that's the difference between a probability. If I say what's a probability, that's a whole different animal than how many ways. All right, so this is going to be whole numbers as answers. So here, K or W, that's 2 options for the first letter. Now for the second letter, how many options are there? There's 26 letters, but whatever I use in the first one, I can't use. So How many options are there for the second letter? 5. Great. After I use those two, how many options for the third letter? 4. And then for the last one? 3. What am I going to do with them? Multiply them. Just like that tree with the pants, shirts, socks. Good. What did you guys get?
600.
Good. All right. Seems reasonable. All right. Factorial. What am I reading? Molly, read.
Factorial is the product of all the positive numbers from 1 to a number.
Great. So in other words, I'm going to take, if I have 3 factorial, I start with 3 and multiply down to 1. Right? Or start with 1 and multiply up to 3, either way. That's a number of ways of arranging 3 items. Why? Because I have 3 factorial, I have 3 items. How many options for the first spot? 3. After I put it somewhere, then after one of them comes in first, how many options for the second spot? Just 2. And the last spot, there's only 1 spot left. Okay, so remember we talked about before how this is the same thing as 3p3, right? It's a permutation where you pick all of them. It's sort of the same thing. So quiz number 2, how many ways can 9 trophies be lined up on a shelf? In other words, how many ways can you arrange 9 trophies? How many spots am I going to have? I have 9 trophies. On the shelf, how many spots do I have then? 9 spots. So you better draw a line. You draw 9 lines right now. Figure out what goes in there. Anytime you see that how many, that means you're going to draw lines. All right. So then, uh-oh, just done something. I don't know what I've done. How many options are there for this? So imagine, here's my shelf. The first spot on my shelf. How many options are there for this very first spot?
9.
9 options. Can't see. That's interesting. All right, then for the next spot, how many options are for the second spot? 8. I can look this way and do that. And then the next spot over here, how many options are there for that spot? 7. Do you guys kind of follow me?
Yeah.
Okay, the next one? 6, and then 5, and then 4, 3, 2, 1. What am I going to do with all these numbers? Multiply them. Good? I don't even care what it is, but you guys get the idea. All right. So that's the work I need to see. You need to tell me what numbers you're multiplying. Zora, go ahead and read the next one.
Permutation is a selection of objects that cannot be reused or other matters. Start from n and multiply all consecutively decreasing number 8.
Perfect. That's good. Thank you. Right. So permutation, it's a special case of fundamental accounting principle. Basically, it's just a fundamental accounting principle. Think of it like that way. If I have 8 horses, I care about the top 3. So that means I'm picking 3 items. 1, 2, 3. The difference is I can't reuse them. So how many options for the first spot? 8 horses. 8. And then 7 and 6. Because you cannot reuse. So anytime you can't reuse, you just kind of go down one. That's all it means, basically. So our letters that we just did was sort of like a permutation, but it wasn't because we had that 2 in the front, kind of, right? So that kind of a little bit weird. Quiz problem number 1. All right, so quiz problem number 1, let me explain to you guys what this is. So first I want to arrange the letters in the word decagon. So that means I'm going to use all of them, right? I'm going to have all 7 in here. Next, 4-letter permutations. So I'm still going to use the same letters, but I cannot reuse them, and I'm going to do a 4-letter word. Okay? The last one is, again, still a 4-letter word. but I can reuse letters. So I could have, if I wanted to, I could do D, 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 D. Like a 4-letter code kind of a way, right? So that's really what it's asking. All right, so I'm going to give you guys a minute. Kind of work through what you think should go in those spots. So if I'm saying a 4-letter permutation, then is DECA the same as DACE? Are those the same? No, they're different, right? So when we're talking about a permutation, then that means that order matters. Right, okay, just making sure. This is the regular ordinary one.